So today we'll talk about some ideas about how we grew together. And before the vows, was there a vision?
Let's talk about love and marriage the way that God intended. Life experience, here we share it. The Fruit Podcast. Tune in from any platform. Will help your spirit transform.
Hello, everybody.
Good peoples. What's
welcome,
up?
welcome. Step on in. Come on in.
So this is going to be a very interesting conversation. Because first of all, I want y'all to know that when we put these things together, we have a certain idea, a certain vision, right? When we do these shows, but we don't really script it out. We allow this to be as
Authentic.
generic, as Kafa and Maurice really are, right? Because
We're
we get
generic?
into whatever our base, right?
Okay.
But we want y'all to feel really what it really is for us. On an everyday scale, we just have these type of conversations, period. So we want y'all to be in the living room with us.
That's what I said. Welcome. Come on in.
So, my question was there a vision before the vows?
Yes. There was a vision of love. And it was, what's the next word? I had a vision of love.
You gotta sing the song?
Yeah. And
Okay.
it was all that you've given me. Is that it?
I don't know.
I don't know. Y'all let me know what the words are. I don't know. But Maurice said, was there a vision? That's what came to my mind. I had a vision.
Once again, the musical. Our life is a musical. There's a song by Outkast that I heard the other day. I'm sorry. Again, off topic. Just songs in our head. So, if you listen to one of our other episodes, we spoke about how we sat down and, we attended some wedding shows. We even used to just walk through, and this was a date. We would just walk through Home Depot, just fantasizing on what our life could be like. So I don't know if we necessarily had a vision, like we didn't sit down like, hey, like this is a real business idea. We got to write down the mission statement, the vision statement, what we're going to do, whatever it was. And even through counseling, I'm not sure that even, through that we even had come out with a true vision, because it was still some things where we were unsure of and not necessarily clear on. So I'm not sure we had a true vision. I think what it was that we were just, for me, just ready to get married, I guess. So I'm not sure we had a vision. Do you?
A vision of marriage?
Of us being married.
Or love?
A
Of
vision
marriage.
Of marriage.
I think for myself, I think there was. I don't think it was a reality. Again, as I've said before, I was stuck into television, like, hey, they come together, they eat and that type of a thing. So I guess that was my example, my vision of what I thought marriage would be. Again, my parents were not married to one another nor to someone else. So I didn't see that daily interaction between two adults.
Right.
It was always myself and my parent. Even, the times that I did stay with my dad and he lived with his father, his brother or whomever else, his sister, I didn't see much interaction there.
Mm-hmm.
My adult interaction that I saw prior to marriage was holidays,
Mm-hmm.
where, at certain times in my life, everybody in the club getting tipsy.
Right.
So didn't see much interaction, of people sitting down and talking,
Mm-hmm.
that type of a thing, or how they work through conflict or anything like that. And I don't know that we've shown, I guess maybe later in time, we've shown our kids how we work through conflict, but they certainly see us sit down and talk.
Yes.
They see us, again, watch movies together, cuddle, that type of thing. But yeah, so I guess my vision may have been through rosy colored glasses because I didn't have a true understanding of what it would take
Right.
to make a marriage work. And even if I did, that doesn't mean that it was going to work for me. Like if I had, like for what we have for our kids, we've been married prior to them being born.
Mm-hmm.
We have not separated. We've always lived under the same roof. We've always, shared the same bed, that type of thing. So I don't think that our kids have, a skewed vision of what we have, but it doesn't mean that they're going to do the exact same thing or want even the exact
think
same
some
thing
of
that we
that-
have.
Even with you saying that, I think that could be some pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, and for those of you, I'm not sure what you watch, when you're sitting down being quiet, and for me, I like to watch some ratchet stuff every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
And so because the ratchet stuff gets me away from reality. I think ratchetness is not reality. I know it is. Don't get me wrong.
In some,
But
it's totally. I think because I thought about it this morning or last night when you were looking at something ratchet, and I was like, why does he do that? Like if I act that way or responded that way, he would have he just would not want any part of a ratchet relationship.
oh no. Mm-mm.
So it's like, okay, he looks at it because it is something that I guess he doesn't want, or yeah, because I was like, is that like a hidden fantasy of his that he wants some ratchet?
No, I don't. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. And we have this conversation all the time about how that lifestyle, one, is not sustainable. Number two, because we're not in that space, sometimes ratchetness seems exciting, right? Because we don't live it in this house. Now that doesn't mean anybody else around us is not that way, and sometimes live vicariously through that. But in all honesty, like I don't want to come home to a bunch of noise, to a bunch of racket, to a bunch of, if it's going to be noise, let it just be the TV. If it's going to be noise, let it be laughter. I don't want to be in an environment of yelling and screaming or whatever else. So I was going to say I did not have a vision, but I guess I did have a vision because that's not the lifestyle I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be in a situation where I grew up in.
I was going to say, I think that, I think you didn't want to live in the tiny house. I think you
Yes.
didn't, when we first met, you wanted to live in a bigger house. Like, I think you had some ideas of things.
Right.
As you grow and mature, you're like, well, maybe I don't want such a big house because it's more to manage.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I don't want old furniture, maybe I want something newer and more modern, so I think some of those things definitely did change,
Right.
Of what that vision was when we first got married.
But some of that as well is what I was
Influence.
living.
Yeah.
Right.
Your influences.
So for me, I grew up in, for the good part of my life, it was a row home. So it was in between a row home and a twin,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the twin was actually a 3-story house as well. So did I want to be in something that large, or because it was a 3-story twin, it was kind of already broken up as a triplex-ish type thing. So, and then when my family had moved in, kind of tore it apart and, made into one big family home to some degree, still keeping the third floor as a apartment to a degree. So my vision of, hey, this is where I want to be in a bigger house, because even till today, like that dream still hasn't gone away.
Mm-hmm.
I still want to be in a bigger home. Sometimes I'm in flux whether or not I want something that's 2 or 3 times larger than what we have currently, Or do I want to be in something that's 18 times larger than what I'm in? You know, so
But I think that has changed as well. I mean, again, I think life makes us change. Your situations, the things you go through makes it change. So, you and I recently, just a few months ago, had a conversation. Is it really the size of the house? Like, could we take what we have right now, under 2,000 square foot home, and live comfortably in it if it was surrounded by, multiple acres of land? So, or is it that we need a 20,000 square foot home, or is that going to be good enough? But it's, like you said, a row home, or it's a villa or whatever, and you got neighbors right next to you or whatever. Like some of the homes we've looked at, like they're huge mansions or whatever.
Right.
But it's like, barely can fit a driveway between my house and the next house.
Right.
Like I literally can see right into your house. Like if I'm going to spend millions of dollars,
I don't want to see you like that.
Yeah. But do I want to be out in the middle of nowhere that the ambulance takes
Which is
2
what
hours?
You don't want either.
Just again, maybe if we would have had a different vision when we were in our 20s, it may have been different. Now, Maurice did come to, you did say, let's move down south in the red clay area.
I did.
When we were younger.
And that's not what you wanted to do.
Right. At that particular time, because we were just having kids and that type of thing. And there was a security of having
false security, though,
of our parents nearby of saying, hey, can you watch the kids so we can have date night or that type of a thing. So I don't know. At that age, I didn't have the vision. I wasn't wise enough to know, like, hey, if I move to the red clay of, some southern state, I'm going to be okay out there. I had not had that experience.
And it's not like
I didn't drive,
either.
For some of that, I didn't, drive right away. I had to get a license and then become comfortable with that. So all of those things would have been.
There were some handicaps.
Right. So not having, we just had a lot going on. Like we said, we're up and down in jobs. We just had a lot going on at that time. Hindsight looking back, now having more wisdom and more experience. Yeah, I maybe would have said, okay, let's give it a try. And we would have seen what happened. The cost of living is different, whatever. I would have learned how to drive on the dirt roads and whatnot. So versus snow and ice, but that was life. So again, the vision I think that we have before you make your vows is changeable. It changes in time. I think again, out of the years that we've been together, what we vision marriage to be, what we vision our relationship to be, changes. So I think it does grow.
And I think before the vows, the vision, because even when we had gone to counseling, like I said, I was like, yo, we're going to do this 50-50 or whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the challenge is, Maurice, you've never been married before. Your vision of relationships is relatively skewed. So what is 50-50? What is 50-50?
Mm-hmm.
And even like now, even till today, what is the true vision of 50-50? And I don't think that there's a true measuring stick to say what's 50 and what's not 50.
Right. Is it measured by time? Like, hey, it takes, 5 minutes to take the trash out. Do I take it out one week and you take it out the other week and that's 50-50? Or, because you took the trash out, I do the dishes. Okay, well, it's going to take me more than 5 minutes to do the dishes. So,
right.
Is that 50-50 because I did one chore and you did one chore?
And sometimes that's how we try to categorize it.
Right.
But unfortunately, there's way more things that is not chore-like.
Mm-hmm.
So, or it could be considered a chore. So, for an example, I'm going to take the car to get oil changes and stuff where you're grocery shopping,
mm-hmm.
right? I'm more worried about the tires or cutting the grass or whatever it is. I mean, you might acknowledge it Just like I might acknowledge we need food, but
And just likewise, at times when we need food and I haven't gone, you have gone. Likewise, when times when you were like, my allergies are, crazy. I would go out. I went outside and cut the grass. And people were like, "Well, you cut the grass." I'm like, "It's like vacuuming. Like it's no big deal."
So I think that's the in all honesty for myself, because again, when I look at ratchetness, right? For me, ratchetness shows me where I'm not. Mm-hmm. See, I don't have, and I'm truly, truly blessed that I don't have a wife that's not, or who is opposed to picking up a hammer, literally.
Right.
She's not opposed to getting dirty. There's a YouTube channel called DIY Wife, and a guy, even though he's not very handy himself, but he's filming his.
He's handy with
wife.
The camera.
Right. Yeah, he does all the camera work, editing, all that type of stuff. And
everybody has their place.
But he's showing, how she's putting up drywall and, whatever it might be, house-wise. So the construction part of that. And so the only thing that they show him doing in this series is singing his Lowe's song as he goes to Lowe's once again just to pick up the materials, right? But it's funny, it's comical, but it also shows a different side of life of what they're doing and how they grow within their marriage and how they do things, with their home or whatever it might be, renovation.
It's based on them fixing their home. So we don't see how they interact with their kids. They do have kids. We don't see how they interact with.
We don't see the kids very often.
So we only see them going to pick up home supplies. We don't see what happens when they have to make dinner. We
only see them when it comes to food. We only see them picking it up.
Right, and that's in the middle of the day, just the two of them. But again, I think they have 3-4 kids.
Yeah, I think it's 4, something like that.
And their ages range. Right. So yeah, you do need snacks, or you do need whatever. But they're not sitting there and saying, "Hey, this is what I'm going to prepare after I put this wall up. I got to go take something out for dinner." Like it's not that detailed. They really do focus on, like Maurice said, the home remodeling and the ups and downs of that.
Right.
Yeah, but again, who cooks dinner? She's putting up drywall. Is he in the other room cooking dinner?
Right, and we don't see that. But see, now, again, what is the ideal, or vision that people have when they go into a marriage? I'm pretty sure that's not because if you look at ratchetness, right, all you see or hear are the ladies like, hey, he got to make $100 million and this and that, whatever, so I can stay home, but why is that? Why does it have to be that way? That doesn't mean that the collective goal of everyone working together to get to that point, but you hear a lot of people getting divorced and, she's trying to take half and whatever. It's very rare that it actually goes the other way, that you hear it going the other way. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen though, right? But how before you say I do you have a real vision of we can actually take this and build this life together? And I think that's part of the challenge of saying, hey, well, whose role is who and whatever else. That's the one thing I would suggest is like, hey, don't look at life as roles. Look at life as we're building this together, because at any given time, someone could be busy, someone could be sick, preoccupied, not interested, whatever it is. Like, all the life situations. I mean, we've been married for 25 years. And like as of right now, as of this recording, I'm dealing with this high blood pressure thing, right? And so there are some days I really don't feel the greatest. Like, I really don't. I don't feel motivated. I don't feel like doing jack. The thing is, I don't always tell Kafa how I truly feel, though, either. And so she could look at me and like, heck, he really being lazy, whatever else. But I never really say, yo, Kaf, like, I'm down. Like, my body is hurting. Flip side of that is the same thing for her. Because they're like the other night, she caught a cramp in her foot, her toes. They was throwing up gang signs, right? You get what I mean? But let's be honest, because it was her toes and the way she dealt with it, and I paid attention on how she responded to that. She acted as if it wasn't even happening to a degree.
Because it happens often.
You know,
I'm standing washing dishes, my foot cramps up. I'm cooking dinner, my foot cramps up. Let me go sit down. Like, what am I going to do?
And so with that, when she's sitting down and she's not motivated to do anything, how do I know that she's not going through a cramp? That's because she's not mentioning it, right? So
people like, how did you burn the rice? Well, I sat down because I had a cramp.
But you don't say that. You don't say that you had a cramp. You're just sitting down, right? So.
Or again, maybe it's because I say it often that it's just like, oh, okay, like.
I don't hear you say a cramp.
Right.
Not while you're standing and cooking. And but long story short is we don't always know what's going on in the other person's world, or we're preoccupied because, like I said, I don't hear it. You could say it, but maybe me being preoccupied or whatever it is, I don't get it, right? So,
or it's not that dire or drastic or whatever. So, there have been times where we've had to shift in our roles, ROLES, and we had to roll things out a little bit differently, ROLL. So when you were saying roles, Maurice, that's what I was thinking of. And I also thought of some other things, but my mind was running. But there have been times, a few times I can think of, one time recently here where I had such a migraine and nausea while I was cooking. I had to say, Maurice, I started this, but I can't finish it. Like, can you please finish up this meal? And he, did. We had to, he had to roll with the punches, and we had to change roles. And I think there was another time years and years and years ago when we lived in another home. I came home from work, went upstairs to change my clothes, and then bam, like I was just out of it. Again, massive migraine, nausea, just needed to bowl up and cry.
Right.
And he came up and he's like, you okay? Like, you haven't come back downstairs. Like, what we gonna eat? And I'm just like, I can't, So, he tended to me like, what do you need? I'm like, I just need all the lights off. I need you to close the curtains. I just need to put the blanket over my head and just take some medicine. If you can get that for me, I'll just be down. And when I feel a little bit better, at least when the nausea passes, I can move forward. I can deal with the head pain. I can deal with the head stabbing and spinning and all that kind of stuff because I know it'll pass if I take medication. It's just that nausea. So, if I can get that to pass, then I can, join you all. But so we had to, roll with it and make change to those roles, whether they're gender specific or it's just that's who we are. Like, I like to cook for my family. It's kind of, as Marie said at one time, it's kind of like my love language. Like, hey, you don't feel good? Let me cook you something. So that'll make you feel better, or maybe not. Maybe it just makes me feel better, like I did something. So that's what I provide and what I give. But before our vows, I guess we had different visions.
But see, I would say that if you, because we both grew up on the Cosby Show, and if you think about the Cosby Show and some of the things that we're speaking about kind of happen, right? Where one person has to take care of the other. Someone has to approach the kids in a different manner, whatever it is. Like, I would say in quite a few different ways, I guess I am like Bill,
Father,
because I talk and give life lessons like we are in a TV show like 100% of the time. If you really think about it. So where Claire, she had her moments. It wasn't as often, which is where Kafa is. Kafa's not, it's not that often, but I would say it probably has a greater impact because it's not as often. It has its, and it's way more thoughtful and caring. Where I'm like, I'm not saying I'm not caring, but I think because conference is not as often, is probably way more impactful. So the vision that you might have had, Kaf, we might be playing it out. If we really consider it and think about it.
Right.
And unfortunately, we didn't give enough credit, to it until now. Like for myself, like thinking about it now, because I didn't think we had a vision prior to. I just thought like, hey, we're carefree. Let's go get married, or whatever. But as far as a true vision, now again, we talked about, hey, what would have, we again, it's that whole idea of playing that game of MASH, right? Where you live in an apartment or you live in a shack or you live in a house and this many kids and this many cars and all that type of stuff. You start to realize like, oh, shoot, each one of those got a dollar sign to it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shoot, each one has a consequence to it.
Right.
Oh, wow, am I really mature enough to make that decision?
Mm-hmm.
Am I mature enough to even handle that consequence?
Right.
So
a lot of those things, like you said, our vision were things that, at least for myself, I didn't have that example. I wanted a house. That was a vision. I want to be married and have a house, kids, career. Like that's what I wanted.
Right.
But I didn't have a lot of those things in front of me.
Right.
My parents didn't have a house. They might have lived here and there in homes.
I think
apartments.
it seemed like your dad might have been closest to having a house.
I mean, it's a family home. He was born there,
Yeah. He might have
So
been the closest.
maintenance wise, but again, it wasn't true maintenance. It was, oh, I want to build something, so I'm going to build this.
But I don't understand why you wouldn't say that's maintenance, though. It is maintenance.
I never heard anybody talk about the roof. I never heard anybody talk about the heater. I've never heard, so it was just certain things like maintenance wise.
I mean, well, and here's the reason I'm saying that I think it was maintenance, because when you tear apart, you put back, right? Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, you tear apart, you put back.
That's what as my father would say, when you pull your toys out, you put them back. Like that was just, he pulled out the bathroom and he had to put it back.
But that's still part of maintenance, though.
But it wasn't maintenance. It was just something they wanted to do.
So
was the toilet clogged and they had to fix it? No, I don't remember that.
Well, if you keep touching it, if you keep changing it out,
again,
that's still part of maintenance, though.
It wasn't brought up as though it was maintenance.
You're talking about something that's reactive versus proactive. They were kind of proactive because they kept playing around with it. A lot of times, what you're talking about as far as a leak is reactive. That's because you didn't touch it at all. Mm-hmm. You get what I mean? So at least that's, again, my view of that.
Okay.
I'm not saying
I guess the one thing that I do recall, hey, city living, cement city, we had to wash the cement down. So I remember doing that. If that's going to be maintenance and keep the front, wash down, get that old broom and the hose and scrub the stuff down. So I remember that. We don't do that. We used to do that when the kids were little. We'd get out and scrub the front and the drive. And
I haven't done that in a while. I mean, I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
I used to
when
I would cut the grass. Sometimes I would do it, but like you said, I'm not there mentally. I'm not there.
Mm-hmm.
But where we used to live,
right? I think
that was all the time.
I think because the kids were little, our hands were on the water, outdoor water, a lot more often.
Plus, I was washing the car way more frequently, so I would wash the car and just and wash down the driveway. I was, like you said, like we were in the water more often.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I wanted the house to continue to look nice. Right now, I'm just not in that space for whatever reason. I'm not in that space. And some of that is my fault, and I need to change that.
Okay.
I do. But, again, we're talking about growing together, right? And we're talking about, having a vision. And I still have a vision of a big home where I can feel more excited about cleaning the sidewalk, I guess. But I wonder, how do you feel about before the vows? Did y'all sit down and have a vision? Did you have a vision, in your first year together, first month together? Even for those of you who have been together and has not had the vow, but you've been together for over 30 years, because I know there's some listeners that are like that. But even with that, do y'all still have visions with one another? Do y'all understand, like, hey, this is where we want to get to? So please share it with us. Email us at nofruitpodcast@gmail.com. And I appreciate y'all. We talk to you.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the No Fruit Podcast, where we bring you fruitful conversations, ripened wisdom, and love that's deeply rooted. We hope today's discussion left you feeling uplifted, encouraged, and ready to take on life's journey with purpose. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration in their day. You can catch up on past episodes, send us your thoughts, or learn more about us on social media. Until next time, stay rooted in love, and remember, every seed you plant today shapes the fruit of tomorrow. Take care, and we'll see you next time.